Okay, so good morning, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, Thank you for joining us in the 68th IPB Talks and opening summer course in 2021. Our agenda is about to commence in a few moments, but before we start, there are a few things to take notes. There are several rules to follow. You can read them in your screen. Maybe Mbak Puput, okay. Uh, you can read them in your screen. First, you are requested to turn your camera on and using the virtual background provided by the committee. And also, don't forget to change your Zoom display name with the format that has written in the screen. And okay, Mbak Puput, maybe you can move to the next slide. Okay, and here are our schedule for this morning's event. Do not forget to fill the attendance form for the e-certificate. And during the Q&A session, you can ask your question in chat box feature or use the raise hand features directly. Okay, so maybe you can change your Zoom display name first. And after we are all ready, we can just start our event. Okay, I think everyone is ready. So maybe we can just start. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good morning from Indonesia, everyone. Thank you for your presence here. And on behalf of the committee, I would like to say welcome to Vice Rector for International Affairs, Collaboration, and Alumni Relations, IPB University, Professor Dr. Dodi Krido Nur Rahmat, MSCF, Drosdik Endodit, Dean of College of Engineering, Villanova University, Mr. Michel Marcolongo, PhD, Assistant Vice President for Global Education, Colorado School of Mines, Dr. David Wright, Director of Education Abroad and Manager of Student Mobility, Colorado School of Mines, Ms. Mary Cook, Division Director and Associate Professor of Engineering, Design and Society, Colorado School of Mines, Associate Professor Dian Niusma, Dean of Faculty of Agricultural Technology, IPB University, Professor Slamet Budianto, Dean of Faculty of Food Science and Technology, University Putra Malaysia, Professor Nazamit Sari, Dean of Faculty of Animal Science and Technology, Maejo University, Thailand, Assistant Professor Dr. Prapakorn Tarachai, Dean of Faculty of Engineering and Agroindustry, Maejo University, Thailand, Associate Professor Jakrapong Pimpimo, Dean of Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences, State National University, Dr. Adi Shahputra, Dean of Faculty of Technology and Vocational Education, Indonesian Education University, Professor Muhammad Syawam Barliana, Dean of Faculty of Agricultural Technology, Udayana University, Professor Dr. I. Ketut Satriawan, MT, and also welcome to all of the Dean and Head Department from IPB University, Udayana University, National State University, Trunojoyo Madura University, Binawan University, and Semen Indonesia International University. And of course, welcome to all my beloved colleagues and all the participants of this summer course. My name is Fai Kamil, an active student from IPB University, and it is my pleasure to acting as the MC for this morning's event. It is a remarkable moment, everyone, where very soon we will witness the 68 IPB Talks and the opening of summer course in 2021 under a theme Sustainable Agro-Industry, Adding Values to Local Commodities in Rural Areas, Chocolate, Coffee, and Tea. This summer course is hosted by the Department of Agro-Industrial Technology, IPB University, in collaboration with Villanova University, United States of America, and supported by Colorado School of Mines, United States of America, Maejo University, Thailand, University Putra Malaysia, Industrial and Beverage Crop Research Institute, Rani Coffee House, La Resolo Tea House, Kau Chocolate, and Believed. And for additional information, everyone, the participants of this summer course come from Gyeongsang National University from South Korea, Obafemi Awolowo University from Nigeria, Rwanda University from Rwanda, Rheinwald University from Germany, the University of Manchester from England, Iloilo Science and Technology University from Philippines, and Brand Mauer College from Austria. and the local universities as State University of Jakarta, Trunojoyo Madura University, Udayana University, Indonesian Education University, Semen Indonesia International University, and Binawan University. So yeah, everyone, our event is a very big event with participants comes from all around the world and will take place for approximately 1 month. And I'm sure that we will have a lot of fun and a lot of insights from this summer course. So don't miss your chance, everyone. Make sure that every moment and every second is meaningful. And now, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, proceeding our main agenda today, we will hear a welcoming remarks from Vice Rector for International Affairs, Collaboration, and Alumni Relations, IPB University, who will also officially open this summer course. So please welcome everyone, Professor Dr. Dodi Krido Nurrohmat, MSCF.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry, it's just... Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, participants in Indonesia and Asia. Good evening, participants in United States. Very early morning, participants in Europe. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I would like to extend a very delightful welcome to the esteemed first Professor Gareth McDonald, Agriculture Attaché of American Embassy in Jakarta. Mr. Gareth McDonald, Agriculture Attaché of American Embassy in Jakarta. Associate Professor Dr. Jordan Emilio, as resource person from Villanova University. Professor Slamet Budianto, the Dean of Faculty of Agriculture Technology, IPB University. Dr. Ferry Kusnandar, Vice Dean for Academic and Student Affairs at IPB University. Professor Aris Purwanto, Vice Dean for Resources, Collaboration and Development. Professor Supratin, the Head of Department of Agro-Industrial Technology. Dr. Endang Warsiki, the committee chairperson for this summer course. All these distinguished participants, students from all around the world. I would like to extend a warm welcome on behalf of the rector of IPB University to open the opening of the 68th IPB talk and the launch of the summer course 2021, Sustainable Agro-Industry in Rural Areas. Even though this pandemic has put us in a position where we are unable to meet physically, I do hope we can always maintain good health and have a good time at this event. I would like to express my gratitude to everyone who attend this IPB talk and online summer course. I am extremely appreciative that so many distinguished international students have registered to share their knowledge and experiences, as well as to engage in virtual international cultural exchange. It is incredible to see how eager students are to study and learn about sustainable agriculture, particularly in rural areas, as a result of the summer course event. I am truly appreciative of the IPB Department of Agro-Industrial Technology efforts to maintain this program during the difficult year. To put the summer course thematic areas into context, IPB University is actively pursuing collaboration with a diverse range of stakeholders in order to broaden our local, regional, and global impacts. Summer course provide global platform for network expansion, and we are offering 25 summer courses virtually this year. After the summer course, we do hope to continue facilitating resource exchanges and the dissemination of best research practice. I anticipate participating in a variety of additional activities such as a result of the summer course event. We wish to accelerate collaborative initiatives, in particular during an era of ecosystem restoration and SDGs as a global agenda despite the pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you a fruitful and engaging summer course on behalf of IPB University. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Professor Dodik, for the welcoming remarks. And before we move up to the next agenda, friendly reminder everyone, do not forget to change your Zoom display name with the format that has been sent by the committee via room chat and WhatsApp group. And now I would like to invite the next greetings and remarks that will be delivered by Agricultural Attaché of American Embassy. Please welcome Mr. Gerard McDonald.
Hey, good morning and good evening to everyone. Thank you all for being here at the launch of the Sustainable Agro-Industry in Rural Areas summer course. My apologies, I could not update my display here to match everyone with the IPB background, but I would like to thank all of the universities participating for their collaborative efforts to design this course and to attract such a diverse group of participants. I know from my experience over the past 16 months that organizing such a comprehensive set of programs where speakers and participants are engaging virtually instead of in person is always a challenge, and in many ways requires more work than if the program were held in person. So thank you all for taking the time and the efforts. In this regard, I would especially like to thank Rector Professor Satria, Vice Rector Professor Dodik, and Director of International Programs Professor Sirdagar of IPB University, and the staff of IPB's Department of Agricultural Industrial Technology for their work and continued outreach on important topics affecting agriculture, including, as was just mentioned by Professor Dodik, the doing so and maintaining these programs during this challenging time. As you all know, IPB University is Indonesia's premier agricultural institution of higher learning, and the U.S. Embassy and the U.S. Department of Agriculture are thrilled to see its partnerships with prestigious U.S. universities such as Villanova and the Colorado School of Mines, as well as other well-renowned international schools that are participating in this summer course. The focus of this summer course on agricultural sustainability has, over the past decade, grown in scope to include nearly every aspect of agricultural production from the farm to the fork. And I think often we hear about sustainability or sustainable practices, but there's usually sometimes not enough clarification on what that means, and it can often be more of a buzzword that's attached to things rather than something that has a lot of meaning to it. And so I think when we are using this word and throughout the course, it's very helpful to ask ourselves, sustainable for who, sustainable compared to what, and sustainable based on what metrics. So in this regard, I'm very pleased to see that during this course, students will be exposed to not only the technical and the environmental aspects of sustainability, but also the social and economic aspects. I think by having this more holistic approach to understanding agricultural sustainability, where if we were getting to the right starting point, if we truly want to implement practices that are resilient and that provide benefits to stakeholders and buy-in from stakeholders that represent a broad cross-section of society. I am certain that everyone participating in this program would prefer to be here in Indonesia in person on the ground to experience these activities face-to-face and a hands-on learning environment. But I want to encourage all of the students to not let the virtual nature of this course prevent you from fully engaging in the course. I hope that all of the students take the opportunity to ask questions, share your perspective, and don't be afraid to ask for clarification. And hopefully this course will be a step towards a future visit for you to this wonderfully beautiful and diverse country, and that we can welcome you here hopefully in the coming years. I just want to thank again IPB University for all of their work in coordinating this summer course and continuing this collaborative effort. I wish all of you a productive and successful summer course. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak. Good.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Garrett McDonald for the warm greetings. And next up, we will hear collaboration remarks that will be delivered by Assistant Vice President for Global Education, Colorado School of Mines. Please welcome Dr. David Wright.
You're still mute, yeah?
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, I just want to say I don't have anything really prepared for today. I just wanted to say, thank you so much for this opportunity for the Colorado School of Mines to be part of this course in the future. It's all very new to us. And so Professor McDonald, thank you for that introduction. It was really good to hear about this course and to learn about the opportunities for collaboration. I know that for the Colorado School of Mines, we plan to engage in areas of research and design. And we'll see how that fits into the overall goals of the program. But the memorandum of agreement that we're looking at and planning to sign is written fairly broadly. And so I'm hoping that this course, of course, is the main focus. But at the same time, I've seen these courses and the way we collaborate on educational opportunities, that they can lead to other types of opportunities related to faculty exchange, to more intensive student exchange at the undergraduate and graduate level. And I also just wanted to mention something kind of personal about this opportunity to partner with IPB University. And that is that I've been working in the field of international education for about 20 years now. And my role and responsibility in this area has been to foster partnerships with the university that I'm working at, with universities around the world. And on average, I help to facilitate 1 to 2 agreements a month. And if you add that all up, it comes to about 250 agreements that I've helped facilitate. And if you look at the number of students I've worked with over the years, I count over 30,000 students that I've helped to go abroad and to work in international programs or courses, even like the one that we're talking about today. So that would include all of the students enrolled at IPB and the School of Mines. All together would be the number of students I've helped to have some type of international experience. But in all of that, what's really interesting is that of those 250 agreements, not one of those agreements took place with a university in Indonesia. And so I think that's just really interesting to think about. And maybe I'm not doing my job, but I think that I am. But it's just that this is, for me, a very unique opportunity, and it's one that I think has a lot of potential for success. We have a faculty member at our university whose alma mater is IPB University. She has an interest in the success of this program, and I'm really excited for her and this opportunity. I do realize that COVID-19 continues to present challenges to all of us. And I'm really sorry to hear about the increases in numbers in Indonesia, and we're having that problem here as well. But at the same time, we've seen a lot of success in these virtual courses. This last semester, we ran a virtual course internationally in the area of thermodynamics. We've also done it in business, and we've incorporated students from all over the world in these courses, and they were very successful. And the students reported back that they had an excellent experience and that it provided opportunities for them to learn from these students in ways that they couldn't have if they didn't have that virtual environment. So at any rate, I'm optimistic for this particular summer course. I'm optimistic for the future, and I'm so happy to have this opportunity. Thank you very much for the invitation to include the Colorado School of Mines. We have a lot of I think great ideas that we want to brainstorm with you on how we can contribute, and we'll look forward to continuing the conversation and meeting with all of you. The agreement on our side should be signed within the next few weeks, and so we'll look forward to perhaps a smaller, more intimate celebration of that, and a discussion on how we can move forward with our contribution to the summer course. So thank you all, and good luck. I hope you have a great summer, and I'll look forward to hearing how things go.
Oh, sorry. My microphone is still muted. And thank you, Dr. David Wright, for the speech that marks the collaboration between IPB University and Colorado School of Mines. And in this fine occasion, while all of the honorable guests is still with us in the room, maybe it will be good to do a photo session so our togetherness can be last. And therefore, I would like to invite all the participants to open their cameras so the operator can take our pictures. Okay, everyone, can you please turn on your cameras? And Masagi, can you help us to take our picture?
Yes, I will count down. 1, 2, 3. Okay, second slide. 1, 2, 3. Once more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Masagi, and thank you, everyone. And now we will proceed to our next agenda today, the keynote speech and presentation by our key speaker entitled Sustainability Adding Values to Local Communities in Rural Areas. So without further ado, please welcome from Villanova University, Associate Professor Dr. Jordan Emilio.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so I think I'm going to try to screen share a little bit so we can have some audio-visual type of things associated with this keynote. I do want to absolutely thank everyone at IPB for this very nice program that you've set up. At Villanova, we've been involved with this for several years, and it is an absolute pleasure to work with IPB, and our colleagues in Indonesia have been absolutely amazing to work with. So thank you very much for these opportunities to share with not only Villanova students, but US students across the country, as well as students from throughout Asia. It's an absolute special type of program that we really sincerely appreciate. So thank you very much. My name is Dr. Jordan Emilio. I am the director of a center at Villanova. The center is called the Center for Humanitarian Engineering and International Development. As a part of that center, we have 3 specific components. One is a service learning program where we conduct service learning outreach initiatives with nonprofit organizations throughout the world. Another is a research component where we'll actually integrate research opportunities with graduate students and PhD students and faculty, primarily focused on sustainable development type of initiatives and metrics, and how do you measure sustainable development. And the third component is a curricular component, where we have a minor in humanitarian engineering. It's an undergraduate minor, as well as a graduate program, and it's a certificate program in international or sustainable engineering for international development. So a big part of our efforts are focused in and around engineering, as well as international development and outreach type of initiatives. So that's just a little snapshot about me and our program at Villanova. It is probably a good idea to just introduce myself perhaps a little more personally. I think anyone who's involved in humanitarian work and doing international development realizes the importance of personal relationships, particularly as it relates to sustainable development. Very often engineers will actually focus in on an engineering design project where there's a scope, there's deliverables, there's timeframes, there's budgets. And then very quickly what happens in that overall process, for anyone who's really paying attention, they quickly realize that in order for a particular initiative, project, and so on to be sustainable, they have to build certain relationships so that the project can continue, can go on beyond the time frame that might be allotted for a particular project. And then it's kind of interesting what happens is as an engineer, and this is the beauty of doing development work as an engineer, because you really quickly realize that, when the project goes away, the relationships continue. And at first you thought that, you needed to develop relationships for the sake of the project, but it turns out that the project was just a tool to establish and develop relationships. And so that's really the approach that we take. And so with that, I'd like to sort of introduce myself a little bit more personally in an effort to build some relationships with everybody here. I did graduate from Villanova University. I studied mechanical engineering. I graduated in 1998. Shortly after that, I did some development work at a university in England called Loughborough University. It's a center called the Water Engineering Development Center, one of the first development centers that really focused on sustainability issues around water and sanitation in emerging markets and low-income and middle-income communities. I joined the Peace Corps. I spent 3 years living and working in Asia, in the Philippines. I lived in the Philippines for 3 years working with the Peace Corps. Beyond that, I spent a little over a year working with Oxfam International in East Timor, obviously a part of the Indonesian archipelago. East Timor was a really fantastic place, and I was there at the first raising of the independent flag of East Timor in 2000 and 2001. And it was really quite a pleasure to be sort of immersed in the culture of East Timor and sort of see some of the history and the roots and the actual culture of Indonesia that's sort of been blended in that country. So I have quite a bit of experience in living and working in Indonesia as well. And then eventually I ended up back in Villanova. I was doing a master's degree. I finished my PhD at Loughborough. And so sort of my personal journey really wasn't necessarily academic to begin with. I very much sort of my personal experience with development work and humanitarian work is primarily from a practitioner's point of view. And only later in life that I actually developed the appreciation for curriculum and academia that really goes to support this effort. And so now I find myself back at Villanova doing some similar work. So I really enjoyed the opportunity to do field work and love every minute of the immersion experiences. So once all of this pandemic issues go away, and once we're able to manage these issues as a society and as a world, global community of people, I'm really looking forward to getting dirt on our shoes again and really immersing ourselves in the sustainable development challenges in every way that we can. I'd like to just give you a snapshot overview of our program at Villanova. We have 16 partners in 14 different countries. And it really is a type of program where, you know, it's the get in the water and swim type of experience. It's very immersive. I have an expression that nobody in the history of society has ever learned how to swim without getting in the water. And so this is very much a learn by doing type of initiative. And we'll have close to 100 students, volunteers, even alumni, professionals that we've engaged with, volunteering globally every year with one of our program partners throughout Central America, South America, Africa, and Asia, of course. And so it's a very exciting program, and I'd like to encourage anyone who's interested in perhaps even pursuing a master's degree beyond their undergraduate work to look at Villanova and maybe engage with some of our initiatives here. So as a sort of a keynote and introduction to the topic of adding value to local commodities and the complexities of sustainability science and complexities, I'd like to sort of introduce a little bit of a personal story about some of the work that I was doing in the Philippines as a Peace Corps volunteer. These are a world famous, what's described as the eighth wonder of the world, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, rice terraces of Ifugao. And so I lived in these mountains in northern Luzon for 3 years, and it really opened my eyes to local innovation and the importance of engaging with local farmers, local partners, local communities when it comes to solving some of these very complex problems. You know, one of the things that always occurred to me is that it's very possible to solve a problem that doesn't really exist. And so that's something that you have to be very, very careful about as a young professional, as a student, even as a faculty person. You always want to be careful to address real problems that have real impacts on real communities. And so that's not something that happens automatically. You have to be very, very conscious of that issue, where you could be solving a problem that is not necessarily a problem that exists to those local communities, or maybe it's just not as important to those local communities. And so one thing that I've often described and tried to encourage people is that you'll know you're solving a problem that's really important if you can find people in that community who are already trying to solve it. Right. So when you immerse yourself in the problem, when you immerse yourself in the community, particularly around sustainable agro industry, you'll find, if you open your eyes and your heart and your ears, you'll find, and you listen, you'll find a lot of people who are actively engaged in solving some of these complex problems. And one of the best things to do is to leverage those individuals, those local champions, as we like to describe them in academic communities in the United States. We describe those as local champions, and try to leverage those individuals and their expertise in order to add value. And that's, I think, the key element of how this entire program is really described, in that you're really just adding value. And so that's an important distinguishing element of this particular class that I'd like to just highlight. And so to sort of further that story a little bit, you know, one of the communities that we engage with in the Philippines, and this is in northern Luzon, this is Fernando Bahatan. He's a local innovator. And this is where we come to that expression that we like to use, local solutions for local problems. Because again, it's really important to find those local innovators and to leverage and add value to what they're already doing. And so something that, you know, we saw in the Philippines, we're talking about very, very remote communities, hours from a road, several hours, perhaps an entire day from a local market. And if you were an engineer, as I am, you might initially look at this problem and say, well, what you need are transportation systems. What you need are roads. What you need are ways to transport your products to the market, right? To improve that overall transportation process. But when we sort of listened to the local innovators and we started to work closer with the local community, we realized that there were already people trying to solve that problem. And it wasn't an expensive farm to market road that they were constructing. They were just trying to add value to their own raw products so that they could actually get more for that product at the local market, so that it made it a economically feasible option to deliver products to the market. And in this particular example, this is a lemongrass farmer. Fernando Bahatan was farming lemongrass, and an 80 kilogram sack of lemongrass at this particular time would get you about $4 in the local market. But unfortunately, it would cost you about $2 to transport that 80 kilogram sack to the local market. And of course, days and days of harvesting and planting and everything else that's involved with growing lemongrass, it just made it economically not worth the time and energy to transport 80 kilograms of lemongrass to the local market. And so what Fernando Bahatan was doing, he created a lemongrass distillery, and he processed that lemongrass into essential oils and what's called a hydrosol. And the essential oils he could transport for 10 milliliters of essential oil and get $4 in the local market for 10 milliliters of oil. And the hydrosol he was using as a natural organic pesticide, and he ended up distilling it even further into a local wine and things like that. So he found ways to produce and add value to a raw product of lemongrass by distilling and doing other things in terms of technology. And so from an engineering point of view, we would have never looked at that and said, to solve your farm to market road problem, you need to distill your products. But only through working with the local community and listening to organizations and partners and local stakeholders, we actually discovered that a lot of this was already going on. And so in our particular project with Fernando Bahatan, what we ended up doing is helping him redesign his distillery to improve its performance, so that it was a higher efficiency performance, so that he didn't have to burn as much fuel to distill that lemongrass. And so it was just some unique ways of adding value. And so I'd like to encourage everyone to be innovative and creative and really open your hearts and your minds and your ears when you're working on projects like this. To further that story, just one more step, and this is likely something that you'll come across quite a bit if you do humanitarian work and you're working in rural agricultural sector. Local resources are often available within a local context of a community, and leveraging and taking and adding and taking advantage of the local resources that already exist in a community are a very effective way of making a difference. And in this particular community, again, this is hours from a road. This was a water resource that the community wanted to, they were using this particular water resource to irrigate fields. Again, rice terraces in this particular area. And we met an individual named Louis Cabigat, who designed his own hydraulic turbine. And in this particular community, he was using a cross-flow turbine to mill rice. And so from that process of listening to the locals, listening to the stakeholders, we yet again discovered a way that we can add value to their efforts that were already going on. And the key here is, again, trying to solve problems that if you find other people who are also trying to solve that problem in the community, then you're likely addressing a real issue that will have momentum and have support within the local community. And so what we ended up doing with Louis Cabigat is we converted his hydraulic rice mill into we coupled it to a generator and produced a little bit of electricity so that they could also dry rice, and they could use a mechanical milling machine. It just added a little bit more to what they were already doing. And then they could actually process rice a little bit more effectively. And so again, it's just about sort of adding value. And that's, I think, a key element of this particular class. One thing I'd like to sort of touch on as well is this, the issue around sustainable development and some of the terminology that gets used. I believe it was Garrett McDonald who referenced the importance of metrics and defining sustainability issues. And this is particularly for the students in the class. You're going to identify some type of project, and you might call it a development project. And in that overall process, you'll likely establish some form of metrics to evaluate that project, whether it's successful or not. And that's really what just a development project entails. It might be an engineering design, it might be a process design type of project, but you'll likely try to identify objective metrics to characterize the performance of that particular project, whether it was successful or not. But that really is how you would define a development project. And now when you start adding elements of sustainability, you start to think about, well, how does that project fit into the ethos of sustainable development? And in order to do that successfully, what you really need to do is, understand the complex nature of sustainability and understand the various factors that could influence that particular project. And you can look at it from like an outside in point of view. Very often these sustainability factors are external to the project itself, because the project itself is something that sort of has a scope and has infrastructure and other elements to it that are physical in nature. But there can be environmental threats to the success of that particular project. Very often there are social factors that would influence, and they could be considered external to that particular project. So there could be social elements, the community themselves, their participation, willingness to pay for particular services, behavior could influence the overall success or failure of the project. There'll also be technical aspects of the project in terms of how it was implemented, how it's being maintained, the initial design and construction, the initial implementation of a project could often influence its long-term success. Economic factors, of course, it's very common to think of sustainability using what's called the triple bottom line, and that is the sort of social, economic, and environmental factors. But the economic factors certainly being a very important element to long-term success. And then there's also another element that's worth considering, and these are the political factors. This is what is often described as the enabling environment associated with a particular project, and whether certain laws are enforced, or whether there's external support from a local government or a national government agency to help a particular project or to ensure its success. And so this is sort of this ethos of sustainable development. And at Villanova, we call this the STEEP framework, and we use the terminology, it's an acronym, STEEP, because social, technical, environmental, economic, and political being STEEP, STEEP sustainability. So this is what we describe as the STEEP framework. There's often another element that gets missed when it comes to defining sustainability issues, and this is around management, because often there are, and this is where a lot of these sustainable development goals at the moment are using terminology associated with sustainable management of services. And so, very often there's a particular project, but there's an ethos of human resources or management elements that protect the sustainability and the performance of that particular project. And so you can often look at these STEEP characteristics as being external threats to sustainability, and that sustainable management element as being something that protects and mitigates those external threats. Interestingly enough, however, it's pretty simple. It's pretty obvious it's pretty easy to identify examples of how poor performance or environmental issues can actually influence sustainability, or economic and poor economies can influence sustainability. But it's a little bit more difficult to appreciate and understand the complexity of these issues, because these issues don't only influence the sustainable development of the project itself, but these factors also influence each other. And it makes it very complex. And this is where some of that complexity science comes into play. And in engineering terms, this is what we describe as a nonlinear complex system, where these factors are influencing the sustainability of a particular project, and they are also influencing each other. And so it's often described as a critical frequency of systems that come together that can often create a unique type of failure that's hard to mitigate and hard to anticipate, because you never know how these factors are going to influence each other in a unique way to ultimately cause a failure of some kind. And this is why it's very important to appreciate that need to manage sustainability. And that sustainable management element becomes a very, very important part of the overall sustainable development of a particular initiative. And so I think, as sort of to wrap up a little bit, I would like to just sort of introduce this overall harvest and agricultural mechanization process, and just encourage everyone to start thinking about these individual elements here, where you have production and harvesting and post-harvesting handling and storage and further processing and packaging and transportation. I believe that Mr. McDonald described this as the farm to fork process. And I really like that terminology, unless you're using chopsticks, which would add a little bit of a mix up with that particular expression. But I do like the farm to fork mentality. And I would encourage everybody in this class who's engaged and doing some work and projects related to adding value in rural agro industry to really understand these specific elements and how technology plays a role in each of these steps. And again, to encourage you to listen to the local stakeholders and try to find and learn about ways that they're already trying to solve and address some of these challenges, because you'll find that your innovation and creativity can make a big difference if you can tap into what's already being worked on. And one thing to just wrap up is around metrics. This was something that Garrett McDonald also mentioned, and I'm happy to hear that we were sort of on the same page with some of this. And there's an expression: you cannot manage what you don't measure. And if management is the key and sustainable management of services is a key sustainable development goal, and it's integrated throughout the sustainable development goals that I'm sure everyone will learn a lot more about in this class. And if management is an important element, then metrics are also very or equally as important. And so I'd like to encourage everyone to think about ways to introduce innovation, creativity, particularly using information communication technologies. Something called ICT4D is an acronym that's worth looking up throughout your time in this class. Information communication technologies for development. Some very interesting work going on in that space, wherein you can actually add value to local industry and just simply by using smartphones and cellular technology. So that's something that's really important. And it's also important to realize that it's a metric to help improve management. And it's really also, you have to be a little bit careful about metrics as well, because very often what happens is people don't know what to measure. And so they just start measuring things all over the place because it's sustainability, it's complex, it's broad, it's enormously challenging. And if you measure too much, you might end up measuring the wrong things or having a little bit of an analysis paralysis where you can't proceed further in sustainable development initiative because you just have too much information to manage. And so really try to keep in mind that if you can measure things that are important to the local communities and the local stakeholders, then at the end of the day, I think you're hitting the target in terms of meeting a very real need in sustainable development. And so I will wrap it up with that. I'll just say thank you and leave my contact information here. Amongst all of the projects that I've worked on, again, just to kind of bring it back to the personal touch, amongst all of the projects that I've worked on, The biggest project at the moment, I'm designing humans in my own house. This is my two kids, Jalea and Giordano in this picture, my wife Annie, who's also Filipino. So magandang umagang kababayan ko sa Philippines, and our dog Oreo. So please feel free to reach out to me at any time, and I would love to answer questions as you proceed through this course. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Jordan Emilio, for the interesting presentation. Of course, giving us a lot of new insights and also a good start for our summer course. And next up, we will have a Q&A session, question and answer. So if anyone, particularly summer course student, have a question for Dr. Jordan Emilio according to the presentation, just use the raise hand features so I can let you ask your question directly to our speaker. Or if there is any issues with your microphone, you can just ask your question in room chat and I will read your question for Dr. Jordan Emilio. And also for our viewer in YouTube, if you have any question, you can just hit the live chat section. Okay, is there anyone have a question to Dr. Jordan Emilio? Maybe summer course students? Maybe if there is no one asking yet, maybe I can start with a warm-up question. Dr. Jordan Emilio, I have a question, and actually I am also one of the students of this summer course, and I want to ask you regarding the presentation. When we have a project, let's say in rural areas, how to approach a community, a local community in that area, so that the local residents and local stakeholders can support and giving proactive participation to our project.
Really excellent question. And to be honest with you, it's not always easy, particularly in rural communities where the needs seem to be so vast at times. So my approach to a lot of that work is to try to work with the local government wherever you can, and try to sort of leverage their current efforts in a particular community. But very often, a lot of the more rural areas are often neglected, and or the local government just doesn't have the capacity to do work in some of the more remote areas. And so, I often just start with the local community and the local government wherever possible. Very often there would be existing nonprofit organizations in those areas that you can also leverage and work with and coordinate with. And so that's often my advice when it comes to engaging in some of those initial engagements. Try to find organizations or people who are already working in those areas and try to work with them as closely as you possibly can. Now, of course, there's always the local leadership in a community. I describe it as, having experience in international development means understanding the importance of humility. And so always going into these challenges and into local communities with humility is an important element of success when it comes to engaging in the local community. And so that means respecting the local leadership and listening every step of the way.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Jordan Emilio, for the answers. And here with us, we have a student that have a question. So, Hasifa Nanteza, can you just unmute your microphone and you can ask your question directly to Dr. Jordan Emilio?
Thank you so much, Mr. Ahmed, for the opportunity, and thank you, Professor Jordan, for the wonderful presentation. My name is Nantaza Hasfa. I'm currently a student at IPB, but I am originally from Uganda, East Africa. I would like to ask Professor Jordan, so far in your work as a humanitarian worker in the rural areas, what has been your biggest challenge? Thank you.
So, I mean, that's a great question. There's certainly this is where humility becomes a really important part, because without a doubt, doing development work is very humbling, and can often present challenges throughout the overall process. And so, without a doubt, projects and implementing projects and getting momentum for a project is often not that difficult in a rural community, particularly if you're working on something that's important to the local community. But transferring ownership of those projects to the local community is very hard, particularly for someone and any of us that would be involved in a rural community, unless you are in that community, unless you are from that community, you are going to be external to the community, right? So your involvement is often external. You're an external support agent of sorts to that particular project. And so you have to be very careful not to undermine sustainability by taking on too much leadership and taking on too much responsibility in the overall project. And so transferring ownership to the local community, transferring that responsibility to the local community is one of the biggest challenges. So I'd encourage you to sort of think about that if you can. And regardless of whether you're working in, say, Indonesia or perhaps even back in Uganda, don't be fooled by the idea that you are yourself a foreigner to those communities, right? Regardless of where you are. If you're from Indonesia and you're working on a project in Indonesia and it's in a rural community, you are just as foreign to that community as say someone like me, who's obviously a foreigner, right? And so that's one of the things that I would encourage you to think about, because you have to always transfer ownership and build the capacity of the local community, and transfer that responsibility of the project in order to ensure long-term sustainability. Great question, by the way. Thanks for asking it. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, very well. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Jordan. And here we have a next questioner who has raised their hands. So we have summer course mentor from Colorado School of Mines. Please, Indi Shahputra, you can ask your question, please.
Hello, yes. So I'm Indiana Shaputra. I also go by Indy. I am from the Colorado School of Mines, and I'm also majoring in mechanical engineering. And I also have personal interests in possibly going into the Peace Corps and doing humanitarian work. So I heard that you also majored in mechanical engineering. So perhaps this is a more specific question, but what was the tipping point for you to go into the direction of the humanities, and what other steps did you take in preparation for going into the Peace Corps?
This is such a great question. I'm so glad you asked that. And this is something that I tell everyone all the time. I really wanted to try to make sure that I communicated this today. And in fact, I just forgot, when I was talking about before. But I always encourage anyone who's interested in doing humanitarian work to really reflect, meditate, and pray as much as you can. I mean, dedicate as much time as you can to reflection, meditation, and prayer, and just literally get to know yourself as well as you possibly can, right? Because there's a certain element of self-awareness that's very important when it comes to being humble, right? You can't have humility without self-awareness. And humility is an essential element to being successful doing this type of work. And so I encourage everyone to pray, reflect, and meditate as much as you possibly can. And really try to identify 3 things that you're passionate about. Now, obviously, you're talking about humanitarian work. So this would actually, it wouldn't matter if you're doing humanitarian work or whatever. Right, this particular advice kind of would work regardless of your interest or background. But identify 3 things that you're really passionate about. Then say yes to every single opportunity that presents those 3 criteria for as long as you can. 10 years at least. I mean, if you put enough time and you have that self-awareness, then you should be really confident in saying yes to those opportunities as they present themselves. And here's the thing, Indy, you will know it's the right thing to do when it's harder not to do it. Your drive, your motivation, your desire to do humanitarian work will be so powerful that you can't not do it. It'll be something that you'll just regret for your whole life if you don't, right? And so it'll be harder for you not to do it at some point. You're going to have to, to do Peace Corps, to do work internationally, you have to say goodbye to family and friends, and you have to make a lot of sacrifices. You have to spend a lot of time in foreign cultures, trying to learn new languages and things. And you'll likely love every minute of it. I personally enjoyed and still enjoy every minute of it. But the sacrifices are very real. Nobody goes into development work to become rich, right? It's not something that you do for money per se. So it has to be something else that's motivating you. So I would encourage you to pray, reflect, meditate as much as you can, come up with 3 things that you're really passionate about, and say yes to everything, every opportunity that presents those criteria for at least 10 years.
Thank you
The
for
answer
those
you're
wise
looking
words of
for, it's a
wisdom
little
right
bit,
there.
little bit more difficult, right?
Yeah, it's not an easy path for sure, but thank you for those wise words.
Of course.
Thank you for the advice and the wise words, Dr. Jordan. And we have the next questioners from summer course student also. Miss Marcella Milenia, please, you can ask your question.
Am I audible?
Yes, clearly audible.
So, Dr. Jordan, I have a question. Maybe it's kind of like a more technical way. So right now, my name is Marcella. I'm from Udayana University, Bali. Right now, I'm working with my lecturer in a village in Bali, which is in the north area, and it's really well-known place with the brown sugar. And I have visited that place for 3 times, and I have some ideas about, and I figure out there is some potential regarding to the packaging of the brown sugar itself. I'd like to ask you, do you have any suggestions, which is the real actions to influence people in there, especially for the local farmers with a, like limited education, and they really read into the local culture to at least rise the understanding the importance of the modern packaging of the brown sugar. And then because I think that's a little bit challenges when the local farmers try to update their packaging, and it's a little bit challenge when they need to take more effort for their products. Thank you.
Yeah, it's an excellent question. And honestly, I'd be really happy to chat with you at another time if you wanted to sort of continue that discussion. I'll put my contact information in the chat as well, it was on the slides. But if you wanted to email and sort of have some sort of more technical guidance, by all means, please, I'd enjoy that opportunity at any time. And I think that if I understand the question correctly, you're trying to establish buy-in from the local community or the local stakeholders in terms of improving their packaging. Is that what I understood? And so that buy-in challenge is often a difficult one, right? And so, there's a few ways to get buy-in. I mean, if it's cheaper, it'll obviously have a demonstrated value added. If you can do something and you can do it cheaper. If you can do something and it's easier, you'll likely get more buy-in because it's an easier process. And if it's better, right? And if you can get 2 out of 3, you'll probably be in a really good spot. If you can get 3 out of 3, you'll probably have buy-in, right? So it sounds to me like what you're describing here is that you only have 1 out of 3 and that it's better, but it's not easier and it's not cheaper. Is that true? So it's better, right? And so I think that will be challenging just because it's only because it's better. It has to be better and easier. It has to be better and cheaper. It has to be better, cheaper, and easier, right? To really get the buy-in. And so there might be other ways downstream in the process where, because it is better, you can get more value for it in the local market, in which case then it might not be cheaper, but it has an economic incentive. And so those are the type of things I would encourage you to think about. At some point, it might just boil down to education, right? And really that seeing is believing type of experience, where you can show people how to do something, you can demonstrate it in a proof of concept type of phase of the project, and then you'll maybe get more buy-in if they can, the seeing is believing type of thing, if they can get more value for it in the local market. And if people are willing to pay more for a particular product, it might be a little more expensive, but you can get more for it. So ultimately it's still cheaper. But I'd encourage you to try to find that other one. If it's only better and not cheaper or not easier, it'll be challenging for sure. But please email me and we can chat more.
Thank you, Dr. Jordan.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Marcella and Dr. Jordan. And we have one more question in the chat box. Question from Professor Nastiti from Department of Agri-Industrial Technology, IPB University. Dr. Jordan Emilio, what is the crucial factor to guarantee the sustainability of sociopreneur in developing countries that should be paid much attention?
So it's an interesting question, and I want to make sure that I understand it correctly. What's the sort of the secret sauce of sustainable development, right? What is the secret ingredient to sustainable development? And I don't think there is one, to be honest with you. It's perhaps listening, if I could, because every challenge has unique context. Every challenge, every community has a unique sustainable development complexity of sorts. And so perhaps it's context. If you could describe it in one word, it would be context, and understanding the local context to the challenges. But it's a very complex, sustainability is a very complex thing. So I don't know if there's a secret ingredient to it. Perhaps listening, perhaps understanding the local context as best as you can, and maybe even appreciating that complex nature of sustainability, sort of being those key ingredients of sorts. Money. Money is always good, right? If people can make money doing something, likely the socialpreneur, right, would be a key element to success if you're going to make money doing it. So I hope that answers the question. Oh, empathy, that's a good one. I like that. Anybody else want to chat in? That's another one. Empathy with humility. I love that. That's great. Be careful with some of that though. The empathy piece, right? Working in poverty. Nobody wants to feel like, someone's feeling bad for them. Nobody, like the charity element can be a little bit complicated at times, right? Nobody wants to be someone else's charity project, right? There's something there that you have to be a little bit careful about. It's an element of respect, perhaps. If people want to chat in some other things, by all means. I like empathy. That's a good one. Yep. Willingness to learn, respect the locals. It's great. So I hope that answers the question. Perhaps perhaps that's why we have a course, is to figure that out.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Jordan. And maybe we have a next question. And unfortunately, I think this is the last question due to our limited time. So please, Miss Mirna, uh, do you have a question? You can ask your question to Dr. Jordan.
Sure. Dr. Emil, thank you so much for that very insightful keynote. As it turns out, there's a lot of things that is very much agreeable with the design thinking workshop that we will be launching here accordingly. So this is awesome. One thing that I was thinking in my head, especially because we only have limited time with our students, and from the students' perspective, what would you think would be the wise focus of, their or attainable goals by the end of the semester? Not even a semester, right? So it's a very condensed course is what we have here. So do you have any comments on that?
That's a great question, and thank you for asking that. Particularly in an academic setting, but I would say even beyond academia, never take learning off the table, right? Everybody wants to sort of pursue these complex solutions to some of these complex challenges, or simple solutions even to complex challenges, and that's fantastic, right? But at the end of the day, it's about learning at some level, particularly in a course, but also in life, and where you can learn together as a community of practitioners. If you can learn together with the local stakeholders, then that's even better. So I always say that, if you're going to hang your hat, right? That's an expression, hang your hat. At the end of the day, you hang your hat on the learning elements of this type of work. So embrace the learning opportunities, learn from each other, learn from the local stakeholders, learn from the professors, learn from life experiences, and enjoy that learning experience as much as you can. And of course, if you're doing good and you're helping others in the process, then that's even better, of course.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Jordan Emilio, for the answers. And unfortunately, we have to close the Q&A session due to our limited time. If there is more question, maybe you can just reach out Dr. Jordan in his email. And thank you also for the to all the participants and students for the participations. And I hope today's event will be a good start for our summer course. And I want to inform you that after this, for the participants, there is a get to know each other session with Dr. Elisa, and for the representatives from each universities, there will be a courtesy session and light discussion with Dr. Endang Warsiki. So for the participants can stay in the main room with Dr. Elisa, and for the university representatives can gather with Dr. Endang Warsiki in breakout room. Okay. Thank you once again, everyone. I am Fai Kamil on behalf of the committee. Want to apologize if there is any inconvenience from me or from the committee. See you in other opportunities and wishing you all a blessed Tuesday. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. After this, Dr. Elisa may take the lead of the event. Thank you, everyone. Good morning and good evening. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jordan. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Jordan.
All right, thank you. Nice to meet everybody.
Thank you so much for everyone come here.
Thank you.
Dear Bu Elisa.
Yes.
Okay.
So we are going to break into two rooms, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. So for the university representative, please come to the second row, and then for the student and lecturer and committee, stay in the room.
So they are going to be brought into the rooms, or we have to follow the room because I didn't see the room now, Bu Endang.
Okay.
The breakout room not yet started, but it's started now.
Yes.
Okay. Now, yeah, there is a breakout room. Yeah. So for the student, will stay here with me, and for the professors and also the head of departments can join Bu Endang in the breakout rooms. You can start join a breakout room now. It's already available over there.
Aku caranya gimana, Faris?
Which one? There are two breakout rooms, so room 1 and room 2.
I think it is the room 2, yeah, because
Room
it's
2.
only one room actually.
Okay.
And the main room. It's only the main room and the room. So I think we have it all now. Okay. So hello everybody. Good morning. I hope you are all in a high spirits after the presentations of Dr. Jordan Ermilio, which is very insightful, very nice. Yeah, it actually sums up of what we are going to learn in our summer programs, right? Yeah, but before we start our journey, our learning journey in this summer program, we will get to know each other, right? It is a very important one. But because we have to do it in a virtual way, yeah, so I will introduce first by the presentation slide, later on with your professors, later on instructors, and also your mentors, and also most importantly, all of you, the summer course participants. Yeah, when I call my name, when I call your name, you can just say hello or say anything in your language. Yeah, a small one. Yeah, so that we can know you from the virtual windows over here. Okay, Mbak Fira, can you share the presentation slide? Yeah. Okay, so this is the third summer course, but the second summer course conducted virtually, right? Yeah, so the title is the Sustainable Agro-Industry in Rural Areas, adding values to the local commodities, especially in the chocolate and the tea, coffee and tea. Yeah, and you can see here, this is our committees. Yeah, I think you have already known her. Yeah, Dr. Endang Warsiki. Yeah, he contacted you, yeah, chatted you, sent you several messages to you. She is the coordinator of this summer school program. And then next back, and then you have me here. I'm responsible with the content of the summer course program, the curriculum. Yeah, you can also contact me if you have some problems or some questions. And then we have Ibu Niken Ayu over here. You can say hello to the students. See here. No? Okay, yeah. She will also help you with some practical things. And then Muhammad Arif Darmawan, Pak Arif, you can call him. Yeah, he will also help us the program. And then we will have, yeah, Farisi. Farisi is the IT staff that help us with this kind of virtual rooms. Later on is also with the classroom. He is the handyman of this virtual summer program, right? And then we have next, Safira. Safira works very diligently behind the screen. Yeah, he works really hard with designing and preparing some documents, etc. So give some applause to Safira over here for her hard work. And then this all the Anis, Lisa, is also the supporting staff that will help us here for our operations of the summer programs. And then next. Okay, then we will have the instructors. Some of them you have already known, yeah, during the previous speech, which is this Dr. Jordan Ermilio, a very with his insightful speech. Yeah, and then you have the next. Yeah, this is from the Villanova University as well, our long collaborators in summer program. It is Dr. Justinus Sartrio. Yeah, you will meet him tomorrow in the first lecture of the Sustainable Agro-Industry Water Energy Food Nexus. Yeah, so tomorrow you will meet him in that class. And then next, we will have, this is also, she is also our long collaborator, which is Professor Mirna Macik. This is from the Colorado School of Mines. Yeah, she will be responsible with the design thinking content. And then we have Professor Yaya Rukayadi from the University Putra Malaysia. Yeah, he will give us his expertise in the active compounds in choco tea. Yeah, and then we will have next is Dr. Shannon Part. Yeah, he will also be responsible in the design thinking content, and he will also actively engage in the mini project later on. Yeah, next. We have also our friend from Major University, Dr. Sunate Sarkar. Yeah, she will give, she will share her expertise in coffee processing technology. Yeah, and the next is Professor Tanasit Wong. Yeah, he will also get involved in the discussions of sustainable agro-industry next Wednesday. Next. And then we have Dr. Julakon Panatuk. Yeah, he will also give his expertise later on in the processing technology. And next. This is from the IPB University, our Professor Nastiti Siswi Industri. Yeah, he will give his expertise and perspective in sustainable development. Next, we have Professor Titi Chandra Sunarti. Yeah. Yes, she will give her expertise in a product development, especially in a tea product. Next. Next is Dr. Wayan Alit. Usually we call him Dr. Alit. Yeah, he's the founder of the Chow Chocolate. Yeah, he's our collaborator from the business sector. He found the Chow Chocolate business. Yeah, you will learn how he developed the business, the values of that business that are very important in adding value to the cacao that is cultivated in Bali. Yeah. So you will meet him later on when we talk about the business models of the cacao business, cacao agro industry, and also the cacao materials and cacao processing technology. Next. You will have Mr. Tejo Pramono. He is the co-founder of the Ranin Coffee Shop. Yeah, it is the same with Dr. Alit. Yeah, he developed the business of coffee from in the rural areas and add values the coffee commodities as well as the values of the rural areas. And next. Now, you will also meet with these two brothers, the farmer of coffee in Bogor Highland area, Mr. Karyono and Mr. Jumpono. Yeah, next week. Yeah, you will have that opportunity to talk with them. Yeah, on how they cultivate coffee. Yeah, and then add value to that coffee and add value to the Kibulau, which is the village they live in, yeah, and make that coffee as the the driver to the economic development in that village. So it's going to be very nice to meet both of them. Next. You will have this Mr. Bambang Laresolo. Mr. Bambang is also the owner and founder of Kedai Tea Teh Laresolo. It is a tea businesses, yeah, tea-based businesses. You will learn how he add value to the tea and how he treat tea, yeah, the value of tea and deliver it to the customers. This is very nice, yeah. And next. You will have this is Mr. Ivan Hartanto. Yeah, he is Indonesian but currently live in America, yeah, in US, and then he co-founder of the Believe.org. Yes, we will learn a lot from his experience over here. Yeah. Next.
Country or abroad, including also virtual courses or.
Next. Next, Mbak. Hello, Mbak Fira. Can you go next? This is our collaborator, Dr. Asif. Yeah, he's going to give his expertise in cacao. And then next. Yeah. The member will be Benyapa Namdas Rasiri, yeah, from Maijo University, and then Arya from IPB University, Karin from State University of Jakarta, and then Marcella from the Udayana University, and Adinda from the University International SMEN Indonesia. Okay, next. We have Group 8. Group 8 will be mentored by Muhammad Al-Razi, yeah, from University Putra Malaysia. Usually we call him Razi. Hi, Razi. Yeah, and then we have Muhammad Ramadan, and then Kochapon Puangtong from Maijo University. And then next, Gusti Ayu Kompiang Astri Jatikusuma from Udayana University. And we have Natalie Mengo from, Brian Mauer College. Okay, great. Yeah. And then group 9. Group 9 will be mentored by Vidya. Hello, Vidya. Yeah, and then the member will be next, Totsapat Getpun from Maijo University. And Adistya from IPB University, Wafik from State University of Jakarta. Next, Sarah from Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, and then Talita Anargia from University International Semen Indonesia. Next, we have group 10. It's going to be mentored by Vidya as well. Yeah, and then the member will be Baltasar Ametis from IPB University. We have also Jaraspon Janjun from Maijo University. Next, Cynthia from UP, and William Syme from Villanova University. Next, group 11 will be mentored by Razi, and then the member will be Love Salve Belonio from Maijo University, and then we have Ahmad Faik from IPB University, Nico Andreas from State University of Jakarta, and then we have Nurfat Jarlina and Tiara from Indonesia. Next, group 12 is going to be mentored by Husna. Member is Aini Rauda from University of Manchester. And then Muhammad Firzi from IPB University, Emily from State University of Jakarta, Lailila from the University International Semen, and Axel from IPB University. So now we have group 13. Group 13 will be mentored by Indy again, yeah, and then the member will be Anna Sedilo from Villanova and Aegis Triono from IPB, and Dia from Indonesia and Aisyah from State University of Jakarta. And our last group, group 14, is going to be mentored by Mutia. Yeah. Yeah. The member will be Shafa'a from IPB University, Nicolas Barone from Villanova University, and Ahmad Lutfianto from Indonesia, Hannah Brigham from Villanova. Okay, so those are all the groups, the 14 groups that we really hope that you will learn together, learn from each other and work with each other. Yeah, and hope you will enjoy the learning journey with them. Yeah, you work with a mentor as well. But can you stop the sharing? Yeah. Safira, can you stop the sharing? Can you stop the sharing? Okay. Yeah. So this is all of course it is only a brief introductions of your friends, the summer course participants and also mentors. After this, you will get along. I hope we'll get along better as the courses progress. Yeah, but you can take a look at these photos and brief profile of each of us. Yeah, so that at least you know how to contact them and also know the names of your, especially your team members, right? Yeah. Okay. Before we start our summer programs, I would like to present something. It is actually in your program book, yeah. But I would like to highlight several things in that program book so that you will take notice of that programs. Let me see. So you will find this some program books in Google Classroom, and I think Bu Endang is also already share it in the WhatsApp group. Yeah, the course name is Sustainable Agro-Industry in Rural Areas. They have a code, so actually you will have credit earning by following these programs. Yeah, so after following this program, you will have a certificate, and then you will earn 3 credits of learning. Yeah, that you will be able to use in your university. So what is all about these summer programs? It is actually would like to provide students with knowledge and abilities to design, yeah, components or system of sustainable rural agro-industry, yeah, that build upon the integration between process engineering, industrial system engineering, and environmental engineering and management. Yeah, we hope that you learn about the development of the agro-industrial products and processes that add values to the local commodities. In this case, it is the chocolate, coffee, and tea. Yeah. So we have 3 learning outcomes. Yeah, the first one is, of course, this engineering part, the identify, analyze, and solve the problems in rural areas. The second part is your ability to design. Yeah, we are going to practice a mini project challenge that will hopefully improve your design skills. Yeah, to provide solutions to the local problems. Yeah, but most importantly is what is already Mr. Jordan Emilio said, that you will have the needs and have the ability to involve in the lifelong learning. Yeah, the expression that is used by Dr. Jordan is that hang your hat on your on the learning. Yeah, so after this, we hope that during this program you will be stimulated with the with your love to the coffee, chocolate, and tea, and then also the love to the rural areas, and then it will bring you further into adding value to that local commodities in rural areas. Those are the resource persons. We have already discussed that. We have also have the student mentors and the logistic. Yeah, for those who haven't had enlisted into the Google Classroom, please do. Yeah, we have already invited you over there. Sometimes there is a problems if you do not have these Gmail accounts, but we can solve it. Yeah, later on. Yeah, if you have some problems, just contact us so that you will be able to access these materials in the Google Classrooms. Yeah, we will also use several platforms like YouTube and Google Drive, yeah, for sharing the materials. Some logistic materials, yeah, this is also you can find in the Google Classroom. Yeah, we have books about the sustainable agro-industry in rural areas. You can also use these 2 books, The Field Guide to Human-Centered Design and Human-Centered Design. to improve your design skills. Yeah. And then there are several videos that you can take a look before the class, yeah, for each class, yeah, so that we will have some things to discuss in the class. Okay, this one that is we are going to highlight, yeah, that the methods, the delivery methods in these summer programs is a student centered learning, in the sense that you are the one that is responsible for your learning processes. You are in the center of these learning processes. So we are expected you to be proactive. You will learn from each other. You learn from your professors. You learn from the farmers. You learn from the practitioners that we are going to be, you are going to meet in these summer programs. Yeah. So don't hesitate, yeah, to be proactive, yeah, to ask questions and to work together with each other. Secondly, it is about the experiential learning. Although it is limited because it is done virtually, but of course we can still have some experience, yeah, in relation to this Chokoti, yeah. Although you are not in the side of the rural areas, but there are several ways of us to be to understand the context of the rural areas, to understand the context of chocolate, coffee, and tea. Yeah, so then you will have this cycle of experiential learning. Yeah, so you are going to have to feel, to watch, to think, and to do, yeah, by understanding the context in the agro-industrial in rural areas. The third one is that we are going to have this jigsaw methods. So for several classes, then the class will be divided into 3 parallel classes consisting of coffee, chocolate, and tea. So every groups have to divide themselves into 3 groups. Yeah, whether some of them going to follow the coffee and the tea and the chocolate. Yeah, so this is your group. Yeah, so you are going to follow the coffee. You are the other one going to follow the tea classes, and the other one is going to follow the cacao classes. So what they learn in that class from the cacao, chocolate, and coffee, yeah, you will bring it into your groups so that you will have an enriched knowledge from cacao, coffee, and tea that will give you a more variety in what you can discuss and in your understanding of the problems related to the choco tea. Yeah. So I will show you later on which class that is going to use the jigsaw methods. Okay, so the structure of the in-class meetings, you have the independent pre-works. You can read the materials, watching the videos before the class. And then we have the in-class activities. And then later on, you will have the assignment. For the in-class activities, it will be divided into 3 segments. The first one is going to be highlighting concepts that is going to be delivered by the resource persons. The resource person will highlight the concepts of the particular materials or videos that you've watched. Yeah, this is about 30 to 45 minutes. But then after that, you will work in groups. Yeah, we will be divided into breakout rooms where you work as a group. There is a kind of a small assignment that you can do in that breakout rooms. Yeah, but then after that, you will present that, some of you will present the results of your discussions and then have feedbacks from the resource persons. So that will be the structure, the main structure of the in-class meetings. And then we have these schedules. You have already had this one. This one is today, yeah. And then tomorrow, on Wednesday evening, will be Indonesian time, will be a lecture on sustainable agri-industry, water, food, energy nexus. And then in the following days, we will continue with the design thinking. It is going to be in 2 days because it needs to be delivered in 2 sessions. The first one is understanding the design thinking mindset and also tools. But then in the second day, we will introduce the mini design challenge. Yeah. And then we will continue with the virtual trip to the Cibulau village, yeah, to meeting that farmers and also this Bali tree to understand cacao. In the session 9, this one is going to be using the jigsaw methods. So then there are 3 classes in chocolate, tea, cacao, tea, and coffee. Yeah. Each of them will discuss the sustainable agro-industry in rural areas. We will discuss about the business models, the value that they deliver with the founders of the 3 business in Chocoti. The session 10, it's going to be delivered by Professor Yaya. It is the active compounds of functional food, because without knowing the active compounds, maybe you will not be able to develop products that are valuable, yeah, to the customers. But the next day, we will go to more details. It is going to be delivered in a jigsaw methods as well. So there are 3 parallel class. Yeah, first one is the coffee with Mr. Tejo and Mr. Ivan, and then cacao with Mr. Alit and Mr. Asif, and then tea, Mr. Bambang and Miss Titi. So these all are the materials that hopefully can stimulate your creative thinking, because after that, you will do your field works. Yeah, field works to understand the context more, and also about the business, also about the materials, to arrive at your idea, a concept idea. So we will meet for the milestone 1, the ideation, at Wednesday, 21st of July. You will work mentored by the students, mentors, but you can also reach out to all the resource persons that are already given this one, or also from your neighborhood, etc. It's okay. Yeah, so this is the time for you to do some exploration and then come up with the concept ideas. Yeah, during this meeting, you will give some feedback. You will be given some feedbacks on your concept ideas. And then after that, you will do some rapid prototyping. Yeah, so you're developing and specifying your idea concepts and getting feedbacks from users, yeah, or your stakeholders. That this is also going to be guided by the student mentors mainly. Yeah, but of course, it is still, you can also reach out to the resource persons or instructors. And then we have the milestone 2. Yeah, you will present your first iteration of prototyping, and then you give feedbacks you are given feedbacks from the resource person and mentors, and then you will improve it, and then we will have the milestone 3, the second iterations, feedbacks from users, and then also we will wrap up at the 21st July. Yeah, you will be present your concept ideas on your prototypes in the idea pitching competitions that is part of the Festival of Agro-Industry conducted by the students here at the IPB University. And then we will close the summer course. So that's all the overall programs that we are going to have. Yeah, of course that this is only limited time, but as what is the message from the Dr. Jordan, yeah, use it as the stepping stones for the higher learning later on in your life or in your your education. So, any questions at this moment? Too many information in the beginning. You will take a look. You can read your program books. Yeah. If you have some questions, you can ask it into the WhatsApp groups. Yeah. So any questions, any comments from all of you before we close the first sessions and getting ready for our first class tomorrow with Professor Justinus? Oh, okay. Uraula, you haven't been able to access the Google Classroom. Okay, we will help you, Uraula. Yeah, but Safira will help you to guide Miss Uraula to access the Google Classroom. Yeah, because you can also put your assignment, your questions over there as well. Yeah, we will help you, Miss Uraula. What is your email address? Do you have a Gmail email address or you have your university email address? Okay, yeah, we will try to invite you, yeah, to do this one. Okay. Anything else from other? From the mentor, is there anything that you would like to share with them? Indi, Husna, Vidya, yeah.
I
Do you
can say
have?
something.
Okay, go on.
I'd like to reiterate, it's going to be a very short month. I know that a lot of times people are like, oh, a month, that's a long time. It's going to go by very quickly. We'll see it all. And I'd like to reiterate, I know that there will be work and stuff, so don't be afraid to go at this with a very open mind to learn new things, whether if it is about chocolate or perhaps differences in culture with your other fellow classmates. I think it'll be a very interesting experience. And as always, if you ever need anything, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask anyone for help. This is a safe place to definitely ask questions, as we want you to learn as much as possible.
Thank you so much, Indy. That is very important notes from Indy. I think chocolate, coffee, and tea are very close to us, right? Yeah. Some of you maybe very love coffee very much, maybe some tea very much, chocolate. Almost everybody loves chocolate. Yeah. So use your love to that chocolate products. Yeah. As a basis for your learning journey that, as already said by Indy, it's going to be an interesting one. Yeah, when we work together, learn from each other, and give some open minds in it. Yeah, and of course we are open to all of things. Yeah, you can ask some questions, you can ask for helps, you can also give some feedbacks. Yeah, for the betterment of our learning journey in these summer programs. Anyone else that will give some remarks? Notes?
I think I have some.
Yeah, Razi. Hello, Razi.
Right.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. So my hope is, I hope everyone can get to know each other and learn new things and encourage teamwork in your teams, because we know we are from a different backgrounds, so we have to create a teamwork and a cooperation within each other. Right? I think that's all from me. Thank you. Enjoy.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Razi is our first alumni, yeah, the alumni of our first summer course program. Yeah, but at that time it was really in a field, so there are some funs that we can do together, yeah, Razi. Yeah?
Yes, of
At that
course.
time. Yeah,
It's very interesting, right?
yeah, but we will still have some fun here. although it is virtually. Okay. Anyone else that would like to give some questions or some remark? No? Yeah. So, yeah, we have.
I think my student have some words to say.
Okay. Yeah. Who is it?
Aini Rauda.
Who is does it?
Aini Rauda, please be welcome.
Okay,
Hi
Andy. Miss Andy.
everyone,
Oh,
I'm Aini Rauda. I'm from the University of Manchester. This is my first time attending this event, and apparently the course is not related to my course, but I'm pretty sure I can like learn more from everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, but you love coffee, chocolate, or tea, right?
I do love coffee.
Okay, that is a nice start to learn about coffee, to love the coffee itself. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Aini. Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah. As for you know, there are some complexity, let's say, in conducting this summer program, because there are students that come from US, there are students who come from Korea, there are students who comes from Southeast Asia, of course, and then also from Africa and Europa. So the time zones are quite, the variety of the time zone are quite wide, which is sometimes it is very difficult to find the best time that will support everybody. So for friends that from Europe and from Africa, so they will be sacrificing their sleeping time to follow their this summer program. Okay, Zam here in Nigeria trying to sacrifice. So thank you so much. 2 a.m. here. I think you.
I'm sorry, I have a question regarding the time zone. Apparently, my time zone and the Indonesian time zone is like 6 hours different.
Yes.
So for the session at 7 to 9 p.m., it's at 12 to 2 p.m. here.
Yeah.
So if I have like a meeting outside, can I like, is the session gonna be recorded?
Yeah, the
I
session
not
will be
attend and
recorded.
like see the recording later?
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
The session will be recorded so that you can also try to take a look at that records. Yeah, yeah. I really appreciate like Wuraola here and Aini that have that difficulties to join at 2 a.m. It is a really big sacrifice for all of you, but of course, for any big sacrifice usually come with a very nice result, a sweet result in the end. Okay, anyone else? Yeah, for the Indonesian students, everything is okay with you? You understand the circumstances of this program? Yeah, you will also later on with your mentors will try to find a way of working, because you will be able to find the best way to collaborate with each other, during the projects, the field works, etc. So it's just going to be a wonderful journey. If not, then I think that's all what I would like to say in this particular time. Bu Endang, do you have any? Bu Endang, Bu Tiken, do you have more things to share? No?
No, thank you, Bu Lisa. I think it's enough.
Okay.
So we can
Yeah.
discuss in the next meeting.
Okay. Pak Justinus, do you have things that you would like to add? No.
Maybe Pak Justinus concerned in the another room.
Oh, he is in a different room. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So that's all from me, yeah, and from the committee, yeah. Welcome to the summer program. Let's start our learning journey together. And then before doing that, can we take photos? And then
Yeah.
give some big applause to all of us, yeah. Give our love for our journey. Bisa minta tolong Bu Niken, kita ambil fotonya ya.
Okay.
Satu.
Mas Farisi, can you help me also?
Yeah. Okay, let's see the page one.
Okay, can you open all your camera? Okay. In my laptop, I have 2 page. Okay, I will take for the first page. Okay. Already. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. And then the next page. One, 2, and 3. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Bu Niken. Yeah. So we can stop now. Yeah. Thank you so much. And then see you tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow
Yeah.
at
Tomorrow evening Indonesian time with a class about sustainable agro-industry, water food nexus that will be delivered by Mr. Justinus Satrio, Professor Nastiti, Professor Tanasit. So take a look at the Google Classroom for further announcement, etc. Okay, you can leave if you have time, especially the one at 2 a.m. now. You can continue sleeping now. If it is ever. Thank you so much. Yeah. Bye.